Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to continue our work with the Literana diversity and learn how to set up our graphs using Google Sheets. So you're going to open up our Literana diversity document and open up Google Sheets. And in the Google Sheets, we're going to create three graphs as shown on the board. And it's going to be a graph on number of Literana per age group. It's going to be a graph of the mean length per age group, and then finally a number of Literana of a particular color. So let's move to our next graph. So here I've got our table 1. I'm going to highlight table 1, the entire table 1, and then you're going to make a copy of it. Make a copy. You go to your Literana diversity. You need to make a copy of this because at the moment you only have view option only. So make a copy of it. Then I'm going to delete the note for make a copy. And I'm going to paste in my table from my Google document. Now, this is my data table. I want to make some changes to the data table in Google Sheets in order to make it easier to make my graphs. So the first one I'm going to do is my figure 1, which is going to be looking at worlds. So here I'm going to set up 2 columns to the right. So insert columns, column right. Do that twice. Then go back to my worlds, clicking on the D. So I'm going to select the entire column. I'm going to copy that column into E and paste it there. Then I'm going to go back to D, select the entire column, and I'm going to highlight it. The highlighting is going to tell me that this is my original data that I will use in subsequent graphs, and I don't want to touch the data here. On the worlds, I'm going to go here and change this to age per year. Age in years, so age, space, parentheses, years, abbreviated. The next thing I want to do is going through the column with age in years, and I want to eliminate every duplicate age. So I have 4. I already have 4. I have 5. I already have 4. I already have 4. I already have 4. I already have a 5. I already have a 5. Now remember, for you, you're going to have different numbers than I will have. Now once I have that, I want to put them together in chronological order. So I have 4 and 5. The only data I had on my worlds and the age is ages 4 and 5. And F, I'm going to type in Literana and N. N means I'm counting. This is a number of. Actually, this is number and N. And I am going to count how many Literana I have of that age. So now I'm going to go back to my original data that I didn't touch, I didn't manipulate. And I'm going to count how many 4s do I have. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5. So in the number next to age, I'm going to type in 5. Now, how many of the age 5 do I have? Because remember, the number of worlds equals the number of ages, number of years they've lived. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 of each. I'm going to type that in there. Then I'm going to go back, put my cursor, make sure I'm selecting E1. It's over the age in years. I'm going to hold the Shift key down and use my arrow keys to move over and select age and number. Then I'm going to click on Insert and Chart. Now I want to make sure the chart, so here let me zoom out a bit so you can see the entire chart. I want to make sure it's a bar graph. We are looking at categories, categories by age. With categories, I do use a bar graph. So this should be showing here on the chart editor under setup, column chart. If it is anything else, you click on column chart, you click on that icon. So if it's on something else, click on it and then scroll until you see the column. Not the double stack, but this is a column. Now, if you notice, it's showing two categories, age and number. My x-axis is my age. I don't want that for the y-axis, so I want to eliminate the age here and keep number. So while still in setup, I'm going to scroll down, and where it says x-axis, add x-axis, I'm going to click on it, and it gives me a choice of age or number. I'm going to click age. What that does is now place the number I have in age below it, so it helps and labels that. Series is my y-axis. The series is the y-axis. I want to remove the age, so I click on the three dots. Frozen here on me. And I want to remove the age. Have a little problem using this. So make sure this is not click. I'm using row 1 as my header. Make sure I'm using row 1 as my header. Now remove age. And since I remember that I had the same number of Literati for both age 3 and 4, I've got that set up pretty nicely now. Now series should be numbers, x-axis. Okay, eliminated that, so go back here and make sure that's in there so I have it labeled properly. Now I want to label my chart. I want to label the chart name, the x-axis in terms of age, and the y-axis with number. I'll click on Customize. I'm going to scroll up to Chart and Axis Title. Click on it. Make sure the chart title is there. I'm going to do the same order for each of the three figures. This is my first figure, so it's going to be titled Figure 1. Now, if you scroll a little bit below, I can change the font type, the font size. I can change the font color. I'm going to leave all those on auto, but I am going to make it a boldface. Now I'm going to click where it says Chart Title and change that to the horizontal axis. The horizontal axis is our x-axis. I'll click there, and I'm going to type in for the x-axis age and years. And if you look on my chart now, that now shows up the label. I then click on the horizontal axis title, change that to vertical axis title, and there I'm going to type in number N. When I use the word N, that means space, parentheses, the letter, then close parentheses, whatever the unit is. So very important for science is always having the unit listed. Once I have that, I can close my chart editor. My figure is done. I'll select the figure and then copy the chart. Then I'll go back to my original document, and below table 1, give it a little bit of space. I'm going to paste in figure 1. Now it's going to pop up the paste chart. It's going to ask you, do you want to link to spreadsheet or paste unlinked? I want it linked to the spreadsheet. That way, if there's any changes I need to make, I can make it on the spreadsheet, and it will make that in the document as well. The two documents are linked together. Now I have my figure 1. I'm going to hit return to make a space below that. And I'm going to start the caption below it. That will finish up later. So figure 1 shows dot, 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 period. And I'm going to come back later once I have all the figures done to write my caption. Now let's go back to our graph. I'm going to click on my figure 1 in here. I'm going to reduce the size and I'm going to move it away from the table so it's not blocking my table. I like to put it low, and again I resize it so that if I'm making 3 figures, 3 graphs, I can see them all at the same time at a glance. Now I want figure 3. Figure 3 is going to be length versus age. So again, I'm going to click on B like I did for the worlds, and I'm going to insert 2 columns to the right of that. Insert 1 column, insert 2 columns. Then, just like I did with worlds, I'm going to click on the B column, the whole B column. I'm going to copy that, move it to C1, and then paste that right next to it. Again, I'm going to go back to B, and I'm going to highlight it another color, just so I know I'm not going to make any changes to this. So this is just a visual clue that this is a column that's not colored, that I'm manipulating. This one I'm not. Then I'm going to click on the header. I want to change the length and add the word mean. I want the mean length. Hopefully you remember what the mean length is. Let's go back to my sheet. I need a little space for typing in here. Mean equals the average. Okay, the mean equals the average. So when I calculate the mean, I want to basically take the sum of the lengths and divide by the n, by the total number. For example, going back to my table, I'm going to be looking at worlds now, but I'm going to have my cursor in C2, right under mean length. That's my 4. That's the first one I'm going to have. Sorry. I want to get the D in here. So D basically is going to be the G. So I go over to G, copy that, place that, and paste it into D. They're the exact same thing. And this is the age I want. So for 4-year-olds, I want to find out what the mean length is for the 4-year-olds. Okay, now I'm going to put my cursor in C2. That's below the header for mean length. And now I'm going to type in equal sign, parentheses. So I'm making a computation. So equal computation. Now, just using the cursor without tapping, I'm going to look to see what those are. So I've got 13. So now I type 13 plus. I go to the next 4 worlds. 4, 9. So 13 plus 9 plus again. Look again. I have 4. That is 7. Type in 7 plus. And then touching the touchpad, I'm going to slowly scroll down to see there's another 4. So I have another 7. I saw that one. Here's a 7 again. And I have 8.5. Now remember I had only 5, so let's see if I have 5 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then close parentheses, divided by 5. So I'm dividing by the number I had over here, hit my return, and there's my main. The nice thing about doing that is I can continue working with the formula and be able to look through and scroll through my table to make sure I'm using the right numbers. Now I'm dividing by the number that's over here. Now I want to do the same thing for age 5. And again, there's 5 that I'm going to be looking at. So I'm going to click in right next to age 5, enter the mean length, equal, making a computation, so parentheses. My first 5 is 13 millimeters, plus, okay, again, using the touchpad, I'm going to scroll down, look at the other 5s I have. If that's not working, then I may have to use the bar here. Okay, I have 10 plus 20 plus 14.5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm missing 1. Scroll down a little bit more. 11. Don't forget that plus sign. Close parentheses. Divide by our n, which is 5. In my case, your case is going to be different. Then hit the return. Now remember, for your graph, you will have different ages than I will have. I had only 4 and 5. You may have 3, 4, and 5. You may have 4, 5, and 6. You may have 4, 5, 6, 7. You're going to be doing this for your data set. Now I've got my numbers set up. I'm pretty happy. I want to kind of just delete the first few of these that I can just see, so I don't have to worry about it. So I know this is what I want to select. Now I'm going to put my cursor again on the mean length. Make sure that's selected. Hit my shift key. Use my arrows to select those columns. Now I'm ready to make my graph. Click on Insert, Chart. Okay, this is still a category, so I don't want a pie chart. I need a bar graph. So I go up to the chart type, click on it, and select bar graph. That is the column. Okay, I've got my column. And let's scroll out a little bit so we can see a little bit. And let's take a look at what's checked. I got to use column C as labels. No, I do not want that. I want to use row 1 as my headers. Good, I want that. X-axis is still age, so I'll click on that and make sure I'm selecting the age. Now see, again, I have mean length and age. I want to remove the age from the series. So I click on my 3 dots and remove. And there's my graph. Now I just need to work on the labeling. Click on the custom. Move up to chart and axis titles. Start with the chart title. That should be figure 2. Again, I can change the font type, color. All I'm going to do is make it bold. Then move to horizontal axis. That is my x-axis. And that should be age in years. Then move over to my vertical axis. And that should be mean length. In millimeters. That means parentheses, mm, close parentheses. I've got it done. I can close my chart editor, select my figure 2, copy the chart, go back to my document, and below my caption, I'm going to paste in figure 2. Make sure it's linked to the spreadsheet, paste it, hit my return so I can just start my caption, and it's figure 2 shows ... period. And again, we'll come back to that later, but we still have figure 3 to do. So going back to my sheets, I'm going to reduce figure 2 in the sheets again and move it so it's out of the way, so I can see my table clearly. And then go back to my table. Now, figure 3 is going to look at the color. I've got 2 empty columns next to it, so I don't have to hit insert this time. I'm going to select the color, select that column I for me right now. I'm going to copy it, click in the column right next to it in row 1, and I'm going to paste that in that column. Again, click on the I and highlight that just to remind myself, okay, I'm not going to mess with that color. This is going to be looking at how many are there of that color. So I'm not going to highlight H because the number of colors can be very different than the number per age. But I'm just going to copy number header over. Now, just like I did with age, I'm going to, in the unhighlighted column for color, I'm going to go there and delete every duplicate color name. I've got medium to dark brown, light beige to light brown, light to medium brown, light to medium brown, that's twice, delete it. Light beige to light brown, I have that already. Medium to dark brown, I have that already. Light beige to light brown, I have that already. Light to medium brown, also have that. Light to medium brown, I have that. Dark brown, I don't have. So I'm going to cut that and move that below the others. And paste it there. Now, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to put this in order from the lightest to the darkest. So, medium brown should be above the brown. So I need to take this one and move it down. So I'm going to cut this one out of that one, place it one box below. Cut the medium from that spot, put it right above the dark brown. And then move that up so it's in order: light beige, light to medium, medium to dark, dark. Now for the numbers, I go back to the color, my original one that I highlighted, and I count how many. I'm going to start with the light beige to light brown. I've got 1, 2, 3. I have 3. I type in 3 in the numbers. Now light to medium brown. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4. Now 3 plus 4 is 7, so this should be somewhere 3 or less. So medium to dark brown, have 1, 2. I have 2. And as I was scrolling, I noticed there was only 1 dark brown. So that's 1. And since I had 10 for my total sample size, 3 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1 will equal 10. I've counted all of them. Now, put my cursor on the color column, hit my shift key, and use my arrows to select it. So now I'm getting ready to make my graph. Insert, chart. Should be a bar graph again, the column chart. Nice. It already has my colors in there, so I like that one. But let's go back and just look. X-axis color, nice. Series is numbers, that's also nice. I'm pretty happy with what I have here. I'm going to just not bother it. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to go to Customize, Chart Axis and Title. I'm going to start with the chart title, and this is going to be Figure 3. Again, I'm going to scroll down and boldface it, but I'm not going to change the color of the font type. You could if you wish. Then I'm going to go to the horizontal axis. That's the X-axis, and that should be, on this one, Litorina color. Now I click on and change the horizontal axis to title to the vertical axis title. And that one will be number and N. I can now close the chart editor, select the chart, copy the chart, go back to my document, paste the document in there. Again, I want to make sure it's linked to the spreadsheet, and then paste. And then hit my return, and figure 3 shows, and ... period. Now my graphs are in my document. Now I just need to work on the last thing, the captions. So this is what do you see? So you're just going to describe the graph exactly as you see it. So first thing is going to be y over x. So figure 1 shows the number of Littorina over age, or per age group. Every one of your figure captions will start off with generally telling the reader what the type of graph is. So figure 1 shows the number of Littorina per age group. And then for my graph, for my data, ages 4 and 5 have the same number of Littorina. If your graph shows 1 being higher, so for example, if age 4 had more Littorina than age 5, then I would say that 4 had more Littorina while 5 had less, and I may even go farther and give the actual number. So I may go back and look at my table. Again, I'm going to go here, just kind of move this out of the way. So again, if I want to look at my tables, I can do that. Go back and forth. Of course, my table is still in my document. And I see my number is 5. So I could be very explicit and said ages 4 and 5 had the same number of Littorina, parentheses 5, period. Or ages 4 and 5 both had 5 Littorina. So I can say ages 4 and 5 has this. Or ages 4 and 5 both had 5 Littorina. Now I'm going to give the last sentence. So once I've described each of my bars in my graph, then I'm going to give one disclaimer. Because the sample size was 10, remember we only counted and looked at 10 Littorina, then the error the expected error should be large. Now I'm going to do the same thing for figures 2 and 3. So figure 2 shows a mean length over age. So the mean length of Littorina per age group. And then I'm going to describe what happens. So I can see that age is 4, or age 5 had more Littorina than age 4. And if I want to be very precise, I can just come back over, or actually this is mean length. Age 5 had age 5's mean length. So age 5 mean length was greater than age 4's mean length. And again, I'm going to use the same disclaimer on the error. So I can just repeat this last sentence in each of my captions. Now do the same thing for figure 3. And remember, we're only going to move on here once we finish all the complete description. For figure 2, so figure 3 shows the number of Litorina per color group. And I will continue the same as I did before. So I will describe what I had in the color. So here I had more light to medium brown Litorina than any other color, had the least number of dark brown than any other color, and it can also describe the two that are in the middle. But at the very least, there were more light to medium brown Litorina than any other color group. And color group and dark brown Litorina had the least number. And I'll continue that as I did before. And again, I will end figure 3's caption with the same disclaimer around the sample size. And at that point, I'm done. If there's nothing else I need to edit within my analysis or within my testable questions, I will then submit my Litorina diversity. Now, this will be graded for this grading period. So I will take care of that during the weekend. But hopefully this tutorial will help you finishing up your Litorina diversity. Have a good day.